You're listening to This is Yoga Therapy. I'm your host, Michele Lawrence, and I've had the opportunity to interview many of those who are making a difference at the intersections of yoga and health. And I'm here to share with you their stories and conversations. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Renee Rudolph. I'm currently training as a yoga therapist and Ayurvedic practitioner, and I also work with Inner Peace Yoga Therapy. Today, I'm sitting down with Michele Lawrence, the director of Inner Peace, to discuss a new initiative we've recently launched called Yoga Therapy Collective. We'll talk more about the collective, who it's for, and what it offers, and more. It's great to be in conversation with you today, Michele.
Oh, so nice to be with you, Renee. And thank you so much for putting me on this side of the podcast for once.
Yeah, sure thing. Let's start by having you share a bit about your background, what brought you to yoga and yoga therapy, the work you do for Inner Peace, and now the new Yoga Therapy Collective.
Great. Well, I'll talk to each one of those and start by just saying a little bit about my background. So I have been teaching yoga for 20 years now, and I've been practicing yoga therapy for, I want to say, 15, maybe. And what brought me to yoga originally was really a desire to find more peace and calm in my life. And this was in the 1990s. I had a corporate job. I worked for a Silicon Valley based company. They had a huge campus outside of Boulder, and they offered yoga classes there every day at lunchtime. And one of my coworkers suggested that we go. And I gave it a try. And I like to tell people that I was like the worst yoga student. And back then, the teacher would often kind of call me out quite a bit in class, like, oh, Michele, like you're doing it wrong, basically, is the message that I heard from her. I don't know that she exactly said that, but it didn't discourage me because I just felt really amazing after class. And I knew something was happening and I didn't really know what, but I wanted more of it. And so I really deeply got into my yoga practice. And like so many yoga teachers say, I never intended to teach yoga. I took a teacher training to learn more about the subject of yoga. And I had an amazing first teacher training with a woman named Stephanie Pappas, and she's in New Jersey. And then I did start teaching yoga at the same time that I was still kind of moving along in my corporate career. But things changed, and I moved to Durango, Colorado, where I live now. And I ended up opening a yoga studio because there was a need. And I wanted to help fill that need from a business perspective. I eventually left my corporate job and really dedicated my life full time to working in yoga. Along the way, I did take a yoga therapy training because I really wanted to understand more about the therapeutic benefits of yoga, and started Inner Peace Yoga Therapy with really the intention to put together a yoga therapy program that included who I felt like, in my understanding at the time, were some of the top teachers in their various subjects in the field of yoga therapy. And many of those teachers still teach in the program today. Our first cohort was in 2010, I think. And yeah, many of them still teach for us today. And the program has expanded, and we've certified a lot of different folks through the years through our program at the 800-hour level. And we've seen many students take different parts of our training too. And I just love this world of yoga therapy and being someone who gets to see all of the amazing work that the individual yoga therapists are doing. And I feel like I have a unique role in that way as the director of a yoga therapy school. I get to see the students move through the program, students from all over the US and Canada and other parts of the world. I get to see the work that they're doing with their clients through our mentorship and practicum, and then go on to do some just really awesome things. And so that's a little bit of the background, but you also asked about the Yoga Therapy Collective, and I kind of feel like that's a segue to this. So recently, we did launch something called the Yoga Therapy Collective, which is an online platform. It's a membership site for professional yoga therapists and yoga therapists in training to come together and collaborate and to help each other out, to share successes, to ask questions, to give referrals, etc. And I know you're going to ask me more about it, but that is this new thing that we just launched. And I think it really came from me knowing that there's so much amazing work going on in the world of yoga therapy today that it felt important to come together and share it a bit more.
Wow, thanks, Michelle. It was really exciting to hear a little more about your background and just kind of how this is pushing you into establishing the Yoga Therapy Collective. So you got into this a little bit, but I'm curious if you could dive in a little deeper. So who is the collective for, and what is your intention behind it?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, it is for yoga therapists specifically. Whether you're certified or you're a yoga therapist in training, you're welcome to come too. And the intention behind it really is to share best practices and elevate each other. And I think there's a real need for that. I think about most yoga therapists are yoga teachers as well. You have to be a yoga teacher first in order to become a yoga therapist. Some yoga therapists also have other professional degrees. Maybe they work in healthcare or in the medical space. But if you think about yoga teachers, really, most yoga teachers I know and the way in which we work is not in isolation. Usually you work in a yoga studio, you've got a community of other yoga teachers that you might get together with, you might go to classes together, you might meet up for different things and take each other's classes. I feel like in the world of yoga therapy, that's so different because most yoga therapists, I think, work on their own. Now, they might work as part of an integrative healthcare team, and there's more and more of that happening. But a lot of yoga therapists work in private practice, and that's hard. It's hard to be on your own. It can even feel a little isolating, I think, in some ways. And I think it's really great to build community around that. And you had a cohort likely in a community when you were in yoga therapy school, or you do have that. And that's a wonderful place to be amongst kindred spirits and to learn from each other in that way. But this really is extending that experience that you might have had in yoga therapy school and perhaps up leveling the profession as well. So that's really the intention about it, is to elevate and collaborate and uplift the professional fields of yoga therapy.
Michelle, it sounds amazing. And as a yoga therapist in training, as well as starting to build my own private practice, I can say that my dabbling in the Yoga Therapy Collective, the community aspect, has just been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm curious if you could walk us through, how do you get there and what will the members find once they land at the Yoga Therapy Collective?
Sure. Yeah. And I also wanted to say one more thing, and this kind of dovetails into your question, but there certainly are places on social media where yoga therapists have or can collaborate and share with each other. And I think, for some people, those have been really, really helpful. And I still participate in some of those conversations as well. But not everybody is on social media. Not everybody wants to be on social media. And I also think that there's more capabilities that an online platform like this one can deliver that social media groups can't per se. So let me tell you a little bit more about it. So first of all, if someone wants to become a member in the Yoga Therapy Collective, they would head over to yogatherapycollective.org, O-R-G. And we'll put the links, of course, in the show notes. And you fill out a quick form to make sure that you're in the right place and that you are indeed a yoga therapist or yoga therapist in training. And it's a very simple form to submit. And then you will get a response to let you know how you can get on the platform and set up your profile and manage your settings, how many emails you want to receive each day or week or none at all from the group. And then once you get inside the Yoga Therapy Collective, it does actually mimic and operate pretty similarly to, say, Facebook, where it's really easy to post and to see threads and to comment on other people's posts. For example, there's some simple guidelines that we post right at the top. And things like, yes, you can share about yourself here. A lot of times in Facebook groups, you're not allowed to put links to any of your stuff. We actually want to see that here. There's a special place for that. However, there's other things about professionalism and making sure we're not sharing any client confidential information inside here. Some quick guidelines, and then the basics of introducing yourself to the group and then asking yoga therapists about advice or recommendations that you might have on a client question. There's opportunities to share your wins, your success stories. There's places to post referrals for, say you have a referral to a client, but you're not working in a geographic area, you're looking for another yoga therapist there. Can you make a referral in that way? We list job postings that we've come across that yoga therapists might be interested in. There's resources like templates for different tools that we use and downloads. There's recordings of some helpful interviews and podcasts relevant to us. And then we also have live educational webinars every month. So 2 live webinars a month just for members of the Yoga Therapy Collective. One really focuses on business and professional skills each month. That's kind of the one in the first part of the month. And then one in the second part of the month that focuses on reviewing client case studies. So we had our inaugural webinar in early January. We opened the doors to the Yoga Therapy Collective, I think the first week of January. And first webinar was one that I had with myself and Amy Wheeler, who's the director of the yoga therapy program at Maryland University of Integrative Health. And we talked about business and all these different ways in which yoga therapists can be more successful and profitable in their business. And so that recording is now archived there on the Yoga Therapy Collective. And we'll be having a call this week on the 30th of January with Neil Pearson. Well, he'll be reviewing case studies, specifically case studies around pain care yoga. And so that's kind of a view into what folks can find there. And it's been great to kind of see people come in. There's a lot of inner peace folks there, of course, but there are folks from many different yoga therapy training programs, either students in training or professionals that have been working in the field for quite some time. And right off the bat, it feels highly collaborative and uplifting, which is really what I want to see. And I'm really excited about it and what's to come.
Wow, Michele, thank you so much. I had the pleasure of being able to sit in on that conversation with you and Amy, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I had so many takeaways, and I really look forward to the conversation and case reviews with Neil this week as well. I think the events are just such a treat for being able to join in community and join together and have open discussions and dialogues.
Yeah, and I'll just say, actually, just to give a preview of what we have in February from our live webinars, we have one at the beginning of the month with Dr. Susie Carmack. She's going to be speaking to selling yoga therapy without selling out. I think that's the title of her webinar. And so that's the business or professional skills one. And then later in February, there will be a live webinar with Chinnamasta Styles, and she'll be reviewing Ayurvedic yoga therapy case studies. So I'm really excited about those as well. And we'll be posting the dates and topics and teachers for those webinars well in advance for people to RSVP to. And then, of course, if you can't make it live, the recordings will be archived there.
What a gift. So, looking ahead, what is your hope for the Yoga Therapy Collective? And I'm really curious, why now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my hope really is that it just continues to grow and that it continues to thrive. I think we've got maybe about 250 people who have opted in so far. And I'd say there's about 120 who have set up their profile, and a subset of that is actively participating. So, first, my hope is that it grows and that all yoga therapists see value in participating in the yoga therapy collective. And one of the things I mentioned right in our guidelines is that, the way that this collective is going to be successful is really by member participation, because it's not a platform where we're pushing out content from one side to the other. It's a platform that's going to organically grow through the use and the participation of the members that are there. And I would say, to the second part of your question, why now? I think that the time is now. I think that there are a lot of people moving off of social media, and to have an alternative is fantastic. But that's just one piece of it. I think that yoga therapists are thirsty and hungry for connecting with each other and finding venues to do that, maybe outside of the professional association, where their voices and ideas are free from any kind of rule or regulation, right? But more just creativity and entrepreneurship and really support with each other as well. And I think down the road, and part of my hope too, is to see maybe there's ways in which the yoga therapy collective can be something that other providers are curious to know more about. Maybe if you're looking for a yoga therapist or wanting to understand, there might even be a section for them to come in and hook up with yoga therapists and see ways in which we can extend and integrate yoga therapy into other modalities. But really, with yoga therapy taking the lead on that and preserving ourselves as professionals in that way. And I think even going back to how I started the conversation, I just really want to highlight and showcase all the amazing work that's going on out there by all of the many individual yoga therapists, so that they can collaborate and pass it on. Maybe someday there will be also, I know we're doing this in Durango where you and I both live, but opportunities for yoga therapists in a geographic area to come together and perhaps have a physical presence too. And the Yoga Therapy Collective might be putting forth some models to do that, and inspiration for yoga therapists in other regions that are sitting next to each other geographically to figure out how best to work together and promote each other. I think one thing that we've touched upon recently in Durango, and I've even mentioned this on the Yoga Therapy Collective, is that not only are we often working in sort of this solopreneur place where it's kind of isolated and lonely, but we're also expected to do a lot of the things, right? The marketing, the website, the QuickBooks, knowing how to do everything. And maybe there are some things that you're really good at and some things that are not your strengths. And if you can come together with other yoga therapists who have other skill sets outside of yoga therapy to help each other and support each other in that way too, I think it'll just make the field more outstanding and more professional as well.
I really love what you're creating here, and I just love how there's so much room for kind of creating structure now, as well as, looking into the future and the availability for an evolutionary process in both regionally, locally, as well as this online platform that has been established. And just, yeah, that it does really open us up to continuing to build the profession and uplift each other as professionals in the yoga therapy space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michele, is there anything else you'd like to share today?
I don't think so, other than, if you're listening to this and you are a yoga therapist or one in training and you haven't yet opted in, I'd sure love for you to hop in there and start conversing with each other.
Wonderful. Michele, thank you so much. And just all the best with the collective and next steps. And I look forward to seeing you and everybody else online soon.
Thanks so much, Renee.
Thanks, Michele. We'll talk soon.
If you'd like to learn more about who we are and what we do, visit us at innerpeaceyogatherapy.com.